Hi Lace Dancers, welcome to Lace Dancer Tips. I'm Alessia. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that I know it can be confusing, it can be hard to understand, it can be frustrating at times. And this is how to deal with injuries and how to deal with the time that you are in that situation where you don't know really what to do and how to deal with it. So let's start. I know injuries can be frustrating and they can be confusing and weird, and most of the times you don't know what to do in a situation like this. I tell you, I've been there many times, it's been hard on myself and on my body, and if I ever had the chance to go back and think about things again, I probably wouldn't put my body through so much pain. And understanding how to value yourself and how to value your body would be the most important thing to think about. Everything as it is now in my body, unfortunately, hurts. Back in my days when I was performing and I was in part of a ballet company, I thought that the most important thing that I needed to do was to go back into the studio, go back full on. It didn't matter what my body was feeling like if I had an injury, and I thought I needed to bypass everything, all the signals that my body was telling me. I think for every dancer, the most important thing that time, whenever you get the chance to perform and whenever you get the chance to do rehearsals and work with a certain choreographer, is it doesn't matter what happens to you, you've got to be there. It's that fear of keeping a job, keeping the rehearsal going, keeping the show going, that at some point you undervalue yourself and undervalue your body as it is, you undervalue what your future life can be. As dancers, we always think about the moment. And I tell you, I've been there, I've felt it. I've felt that time where I was going to a physio and I said, you know what, yes, I'm injured, but I feel so much better. I feel great and I can go back into rehearsals, I can get back straight into it, and it doesn't really matter. Saying this and lying to my physio wasn't probably the best thing I ever did in my life, just because of that fear of wanting to perform for others, wanted to prove others that I was capable of doing what I was required to do, and I was capable to push through hard times. But again, rather than proving it to myself, I was proving it to others, and that's a big mistake. By lying to my physio, I did something that I think now it was the most silly thing I've ever done. In order for me to go back and to be dancing again, I decided to take on painkillers and muscle relaxants in case I had muscle spasm, just to go back and to go for it. But of course, what do you do when you take painkillers, especially on an injury? You just hide that pain. You never know how much you're pushing. You never know how far beyond you're going because you don't feel the pain. So thinking about it now and looking back and all the problems that I had with my body, I've had scoliosis. Well, I have scoliosis and all the problems that are related to it and how to keep my body aligned. I've got one leg that is shorter than of the other, and that is why. I went through a whiplash, massive whiplash, after being caught in a weird position during a pas de deux. My back swelled up and I still performed in the night and I just didn't care. I had a chronic tendonitis that to get rid of it, I had to get cortisone injections. And the last thing that you want to cover up and go through all that pain and go through all that covering of the pain with painkillers, cortisone injections, and everything that goes around with it. I find myself now having sciatica problems. I'm finding myself pinching of the hips, everything that hurts. But you can't say that it's a good pain after a stretch. It's a bad pain that haunts you down for the rest of your life. And I tell you, there hasn't been one day where I have woken up and said, oh my God, my body feels absolutely fantastic. So let's try to go back to the beginning and let's try to go back to how your body feels, and in case an injury happens, what you need to do. So if you're not listening to your physio now, or you're not listening to your osteopath, listen to me and take all this on. I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to deal with injuries and what you need to do right away if an injury occurs. Very first thing that you got to do as soon as the injury occurs is, a word that you need to remember is rise. You've got to rest, ice, compression, and elevation. As soon as the injury happens, your blood starts flowing straight into the injured part. And what happens is it swells up. So in order for this not to happen, we need to put either our leg or our arm up high. You need to compress it and you need to ice it. So we don't let all that blood flow in there, so our ankle, our arm, or whatever you've injured right now becomes like a balloon. So find a nice safe spot, find somewhere nice and quiet where you can look after yourself, you can have a bit of time off, figure it out how it happened, what happened, really think about it, because then you will be able to explain exactly to your physiotherapist what happened. Number 2, check in straight away with your physiotherapist. Most of the time what we think about is the fact that it's gonna be okay. It's just a sprain, nothing too major. But don't let go of something, even if it's so small, to just let it go. Listen carefully to what your physiotherapist says. They're not just there to give air to their mouth and just sound fantastic. They're there to help you out, and they're there to see exactly how you and them can move forward in order for your body to recover at the fullest. So listen carefully to what they say, listen carefully to what advices they give you, and for you, go really into details and explaining exactly what happened for them to help you out the best way they can. Number 3, recovery time is mandatory. Don't just think that because you've got an injury, your rehabilitation, will happen, it's gonna be quick, there is nothing to worry about, and you're gonna be up in no time without even thinking about your body and how it feels. Really do listen to what the physiotherapist says. Go week by week, day by day, and really go through the rehabilitation time. Most of the time when we cut off rehabilitation time, what happens is we go back to square one. You don't want to go back to square one. You want to take a step forward every time. Again, listen to everything that your physiotherapist, osteopath, whoever you've got looking after you says, and take in every single step and every single word that they say. You want to be cautious, you want to be careful, because it's not just about going back into a rehearsal, going back into dancing, going back into full power. It is going back into your life. And also remember that your life doesn't stop at the end of your career. So if you want a body and a strong body that you can be pain-free for the rest of your life, take this rehabilitation time as sacred. Do not jump, do not go straight into your daily routine without listening to the physio first. Number 4, I know we like it and I know we can sometimes avoid it, but please do avoid it throughout your rehabilitation time, and this is caffeine and alcohol. Instead, take a lot of water, hydrate yourself, help your inflammation to be flushed and clean, and get all that water in instead. So let's avoid caffeine and alcohol for a little bit of time and give yourself and your body time to clean itself up. Number 5, do not despair. I know it's hard, I know it's gonna be a long probably journey, or it might feel like the longest journey through rehabilitation that you will ever go through. But do not despair, you will get back there, you will back into your full-on routine. And I promise you, you'll go back into your full routine stronger than ever. Also, take this time to free your mind, free yourself from any worries. Try to take on something something that you've never done before. Read a book, do something different. Take your mind off that injury. Remember that your energy goes exactly where you concentrate on. And if you put on bad vibes onto that injury, it's gonna be harder for you to get back into normal state. So try to find something that makes you feel good. Remember that rehabilitation time and time off dancing, it's not a wasted time. So most of the time you can discover things that you've never discovered before. You might enjoy something that you've never ever thought about. So there is always something to discover when you take your mind off all those worries. So try to find something that really makes you happy, enjoy it, relax, take your time off and learn something different. Remember that nothing is lost, especially when you take some time off it. Surround yourself by people that look after you and reassure you throughout the journey. Remember, you can do this. Listen to your physiotherapist, relax, don't worry, you'll be back into dancing in absolute no time, stronger than ever. Look after your body, look after yourself, value yourself as a dancer, but most of all, value yourself as a human being and the life that has to come in the future. Lots of love.